Hey guys, Boris Lasser from BK Forex. Welcome to our daily Forex technicals for 5/1/13. We're calling this Mayday for dollar. I'm trying to play on words a little bit today because the dollar has definitely gotten a big bruising in price action at the last day of April. Trading foreign exchange or margin carries high level risk and may not be suitable for investors. So I invite you to read this disclaimer very carefully, understand all the risks involved in trading foreign exchange. Let's take a look at the charts now and see exactly what happened to the dollar. We had basically massive breakout here. This is post very weak Chicago PMI, which was, I think, the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back on the idea that the Fed tomorrow is going to be very accommodative. It was a pro-euro move, even though earlier in the session we basically had very negative euro news that pushed us all the way down to 30.50. Reversed all of it today, took out the 31.25 level, which was the key level we talked about yesterday as the key break, and now took us all the way, almost up, all the way up to the 3200 level. As a matter of fact, now as we're starting Asia session, we can see we're starting to creep up. Of course, the next challenge is the 85s of today's high or yesterday's high as it stands now. But generally, the look, if you want to look at this on a longer term basis on a dailies, is the break of the 32s. If we start taking out the 32s, it really opens up a run all the way out to 33s, 33 and a halfs. This is the major. We talked about the fact that there was a shelf of resistance at 31.25 and a shelf of resistance at 32. If we can clear both of those levels, it opens up the euro to a full run higher. And it makes a very powerful move to the upside. Surprising, I think a lot of people who are looking at the economic negatives, not appreciating that the economic negatives in the U.S. are the same, and it's sort of I guess, a path of liquidity, a path of least, sort of a battle of race to the bottom, I guess, is what's happening in the currency market from a fundamental point of view. From a technical point of view, these breaks look pretty significant. You need to be watching this very carefully. Those for trading range, obviously, you can make a stand here at the 32s with very little risk, because if this is indeed going to be another failure, we're getting very close to that failure. But given the way it's trading and given the very powerful move we have today, you got to give the benefit of the doubt to the bulls right now, as we're going to try to challenge the 32s probably as the day proceeds. And if we take this out, it really, as I said, opens up a much bigger trade. First 3250s and then 3300s as the trade progresses. As you can see, the dogs in New York City agree with my analysis, or maybe they disagree with my analysis because they seem to be going off here. Anyways, that's euro. Euro looks definitely very interesting around these round numbers. Very much worth to keeping an eye on. The other dollar down trade has been the yen trade, which obviously resulting very much now in the idea that the Fed is going to be very accommodative, keeping the pressure. 97 here is the absolute critical level of support. We gotta if yen cannot really hold 97 as a support. 97 gets given. 96.50 is of course the next target level, and then it's really zeroing in on this value proposition here. This was a clear value zone earlier, a couple of weeks earlier, where the bulls made their sort of big stand, bought it back up all the way up to 99.50. Now we have a double top, a distribution back into the value zone. And now this becomes possibly a test of a double bottom. And this, I think, is going to be very interesting. I mean, generally, if you're sort of a longer term bull, this should be a higher low test. In other words, they're going to try to make a stance here somewhere 96.50, 96 at very most. If we start to come back and break 96s all the way down, it looks like a very negative distribution. Basically looks like a full double top distribution, and then we're looking at 95s, 94s, just a complete unwind. Having said this, though, this level, which was former resistance, now kind of support, I think definitely kind of presents a pretty good hold. So a 96.50 is the first key level of support, and I think those are who are long-term value proposition buyers probably going to want to make a stand somewhere around this area, because I don't think it's just going to slice right through it right away. We'll have to see how it trades out, but for now the battle is onto the 97s, which is where dollar yen is starting to come into trade. If we test this, come back up, bounce back up, then you could say that we're making a higher low, and it could be a relatively positive development for dollar yen. Elsewhere, pound dollar kind of failing a little bit at the 55.50s, although not horrendously. As the Asian session opens up, we're kind of relatively well bid. Remember, today is a very quiet day. All of Europe is down on May Day. I think Japan is also closed, so it really doesn't heat up till we come back in North America tomorrow morning. But still, pound looks relatively robust here around this 55.50, but this is we barely made it. We couldn't make it yesterday, couldn't hold it today. I still think this 55.50, let's say 55.50, 56 zone represents a pretty serious level of resistance here, and a topping formation after so many days up. It looks like it could be a little bit of a correction coming up in the pound dollar. Lastly, Aussie dollar. Cleared the 30.50, the 103.50. That was a critical level for us, and of course now all eyes on the 104s. 104 also pretty serious resistance level for Aussie dollar. Former support becomes resistance. Got to clear that. It's doubtful it's going to clear it right away on the first try. Maybe 104.10, 104.15 before it kind of runs out of gas on the upside. The downside supported by 103.50 first, and then 103 is a much deeper support here if we start to come back and trail back. Lastly, I think what's interesting is dollar CAD, something that was off the charts for a long time, has really started to move. Last few days, look at these moves last few days. We sliced 102, 101.50. More importantly, today, the 101s. And this is really where it gets interesting because now we've actually broke the support of 101. And now it really comes in towards a test of parity, which is obviously a very, very psychologically important level of test. 101.50, obviously, 150, of course, is the first level of support. But then we break down to that, it really becomes then a trade towards the parity level. Now, having come down so much, it's very likely that we're going to have some buyers at the parity level. I don't think it's going to just slice right through it. So there could be very much a bounce back. But still, for now, dollar CAD loonie showing much more strength than I think most people thought, and that strength is really translating into pretty powerful momentum to the downside. It's also, by the way, translating into a pretty interesting downdraft in Aussie CAD as you're watching this. Aussie CAD, meanwhile, is really at this critical 104.25, 104.25, 104.50 support level, which was a double bottom here that we're forming. And the strength in the CAD could really push us right through towards the 104 and perhaps even to the 103.50s. So a lot of interesting things, I think, in the CAD finally waking up after so many months of slumber. That's how the day is shaping up. Wishing happy May Day to all my friends in Europe enjoying the holiday. And as I said, most of the price action probably going to happen in North America tomorrow when liquidity really comes back online, and we have the ADP numbers, and we have, of course, the Fed meeting, which is no doubt going to create some volatility in midday North American trade. For now, just to review, we have the euro zeroing in on the 32s. We have the yen zeroing in on 97s. And pound dollar trying to basically see if he can hold the 105.50 level, which is, I think, a level of kind of exhaustion for the pound dollar. Wishing you guys the best luck, best of trading. This is Boris Schlossberg, over and out.